Hello and welcome to Total Running Club's latest podcast. I'm Jeff Ross and very excited today to welcome the founder and CEO of LILA Movementechnology, Joseph Dolcetti. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes. If you're Italian, you're pronouncing it right.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to call you Joe. We're familiar. Joe's a good mate of mine. Business colleague as well, and really excited to delve into the story of LILA and hear a lot about the background behind that. So just to introduce their product, LILA is a Malaysian-based company, but operating very much globally in over 40 sporting disciplines, which is unbelievable, including all of the winter and summer Olympic disciplines, which is timely because we're just about to kick off the Olympics in Tokyo. So yeah, there's a lot of sports involved, but our audience is going to be predominantly interested in running. So we'll talk mainly about that, but not just about that. So first of all, welcome to the podcast, Joe. Thanks for your time. Good to see you.
I'm excited, Jeff. You know, we've been talking about doing this for a while, and we've been trying to sort out the detail of getting this done over the last week. So it's good to finally be here. And like you said, we're mates, and we've both found our home here in Malaysia, and the sports world is small here. So, you know, eventually we were going to meet one way or the other, but it's exciting to have met. And also it's been exciting to start working with you. I mean, I know, as you mentioned, running, we're working with everybody around the world. We're still a small company, but certainly working at that elite level right now and really gaining that momentum there. But running's been a big sport for us. It was a big sport before the pandemic. But then the pandemic is one of those areas where, I mean, running is literally running, walking, jogging. That's kind of the one thing that everyone's been able to continue to do. So we've continued on that road. It's the base, it's the base movement for most sport or activities. So we've been really focused on that as an activity and as a company from our research and our education side. And when you first came on board, I remember that because obviously your high level and your elite experience at the extreme ultra endurance events really was exciting, because we were working at that time and I created the product for sprinters. Olympic sprinters was the first people, but running and sprinting, they're more or less the same. There's always something different, but the mechanics are similar. So we wanted to stretch to that endurance space, and you were part of that very early conversation.
Yeah, that was a while back. Okay, we'll come back to a lot of that, but there'll be a lot of listeners today who don't know what the product is. The product is Exogen. I hope a lot have heard of it, but for those that have not heard of it, maybe you can just give me a short intro and explain exactly what is your product, Joe.
Right. So the technology, as I said, was a product that I initially started looking at in the world of sprinting and speed. But ultimately, Exogen, it's really simple. It's weight training, or what we call resistance training. And weight training, different than something you might use in a gym. Our specific area is called wearable resistance or wearable weight training. And what that basically means is we've developed a system, and it took almost 13, 14 years to get it right, to add very light loads, what we call those micro loads, our small flexible loads. Most people don't believe that these are weights like that. This is already half a pound or 200 grams. And the whole concept was, we wanted to get weight training in a more organic fashion that we could apply onto the body so that you can use it in movement. Like if you're a runner and your coach told you need to get stronger, traditionally that meant you went to a trainer, you went to a gym, you got some dumbbells, you did some lunges, you did some squats. It was sort of general strength training to make your legs stronger to support running. But as you know, and as the world's moving, we're just getting so much more specific, so much smarter with solutions for strength. And a lot of things we saw over the last few years was general strength makes your body stronger, but it doesn't necessarily improve running unless you're at the very beginning level. A little bit of strength training, obviously you feel stronger and you feel like you're running better. But as soon as you get a little bit of proficiency and you start having a goal or a target, or then the strength you need gets quite specific. And so the whole concept of Exogen was to create a weight training tool, a resistance tool that we could put on different parts of the body through some type of garment, our compression base layer, and be able to add that weight onto your sport while you're doing it. And the simple way for people to think about that then is, yes, you wear some piece of the product and you go for a run with it. And so while you're running, the muscles you're using while running are being trained for strength and endurance basically at the same time. Or if you're a football player, you'll be in football practice with the ball at your feet and the Exogen on your body. And so really the simplest form of explanation is it is the most specific resistance training tool probably on the planet. And so you kind of got that general training that you do at the gym that makes your body, strong or basically fit. But then once you want to actually improve in your sport, you have to get more specific. And and that's the overview.
Yeah, I think that's great. We're going to touch on some of the technical aspects of that later on. I think, wearable resistance, it's definitely one of your definition labels. It's on your website. It's probably the easiest way that I try and explain your product. I'm a regular user. I love it. So for me as a runner, just to explain to anyone who's interested, I wear the shorts and I wear the calf sleeves, normally separately. And I slap on, I slap on these loads, different weights depending what type of workout I want to do, and you can put them on different places to apply different, different physics. But we'll talk about that with Joe because that's not my comfort zone. But it's basically a product that you wear, and if you think, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, was it? You wear those ankle weights. If you're old enough to remember that. I suppose this is a modern day version of that, much, much better. We've also got a vest for upper body. You got arm sleeves. So it's suitable for many, many different sports. But for running, mainly, we're talking about the shorts and the calf sleeves. So I was really interested when you said 13, 14 years in the making, which is obviously a very long period of time. But when did you first come up with the idea? Because you are an entrepreneur, and I think we'll see that as we progress through this podcast. So when was that light bulb moment, Joe?
Well, it's funny. I've been very much involved in the entrepreneur world, but I don't consider myself. I know business people consider themselves entrepreneurs. I've been a high performance coach for 35 years, and I still see myself more as that. But at some point, you're right, because everybody's got an idea. When you convert that idea into a business or a commercial opportunity, you've got to change your hat and become the business person to realize that. And there's multiple stages in bringing something to market, a tech. And the first one, though, is the concept. So it was 2003. I was then at that time employed as the head of high performance training for National Sports Council of Malaysia, the Olympic program basically here. And before that, I'd spent 20 years in North America working in, I was in the NBA before I came here, worked with the NHL, Team Canada, multiple Olympic cycles, training athletes. And a lot of that training was around the high performance, the conditioning, right? What they call strength and conditioning, or S&C, and periodization, which is long-term planning. So I was there at Sports Council in Malaysia. This was now my second contract, 2003. We were preparing for Athens Olympics. And I was actually training a cohort of sprinters that were qualifying for Athens. At that time, he was the Southeast Asian Games sprint champion. He was there, Carl Lewis, 100 meter, 200 meter, long jump, and 4x1 champ. Yeah, he was a very, very talented sprinter. And we were just on the track. And if anybody knows fitness world, they'll know things like sled training, or like you said, heavy vest training. We were using all those tools, parachutes and all that up the back. And we were on the track. He was using the sled, and the sleds are great fitness tools now. They're really just general fitness tools. But he was sprinting with the sled like a lot of sprinters, and we were constantly battling technique, right? Because sprinting is a good sprinter is not only born with great, contact and nervous system attributes, but you have to develop the technique to take advantage of that. And the moment your technique changes, as with running, you get 1% of fatigue in your shoulders or your hips, your technique's gone, and then you just start burning carbohydrate and your efficiency's out the window. And that's the same in 100 meters or a marathon or longer, like you, right? You know that. And so we were pulling that sled, battling the sled's disruptive impact on technique with the need to have some sort of specific strength, getting those legs pumping. And I remember just watching the sled, and I was picturing taking all that weight from the sled and finding a way to wrap it around his body. It's like, how do we just get rid of the sled? And we had weighted vests and all that. And And weighted vests are the same. They bounce around, they disrupt movement, they're too heavy. You know, it was all our resistance was non-specific, not organic, and too heavy. And I literally went home that night and I started looking for options that might be lighter, that wrapped around, and I realized there wasn't any. And so I literally started sewing shorts and body pieces and cutting up weight vests and loads. I have them at the office still, and literally gluing them and taping them and velcroing them and trying to find ways to wrap weight around the body.
Right.
And there was about 7-8 years of me playing with it. I trained, you know, everybody from Lee Chong Wei to all Malaysia's top athletes were involved with my crazy experiments. They were all playing with and training with prototypes back in the day. And then it was about 2008 or 9, and one of the heads of German athletics track and field was here in Malaysia, and he saw my prototypes, and he asked if he could buy them so he could train, at that time, the current world men's 110-meter hurdler with them for the world champs. And it was the first time I really realized this had a commercial aspect to it. You know, it wasn't just something I was trying to create for the people I was using. And so I got together a bunch of friends in 2008, 2009, after I came back from the Middle East with the Olympic program there. And we just decided, let's jump in and try and make a company out of it and a product. Right. And that opened just a whole different type of challenge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially the product, it was not a commercially designed product.
No, it was 100% to solve the issue that every trainer in the world, like the head of the education for the NFL told me, he said, every coach has tried to figure out how to glue weight to the body. You've figured it out. Now we have to figure out how to use it. And so I was just trying to create a tool that, you know, you can do all that general work in the gym, but how do you train them specifically? Like, how does a badminton player work a smash with a 50, 60 gram racket in a highly technical situation?
Yeah.
Because you know, not just doing vertical jumps and so that was it. And then I was getting feedback from everybody saying, this is a good idea. You know, you need to do something with this. This is going to work. And so I love that.
Yeah, I love that story. And I just recently finished reading the Nike autobiography and
Shoe Dogs.
Yeah, Shoe Dog. And I loved that book. And what I loved about it was it's almost sort of a different era of entrepreneurial. And, you know, it was so random how it all sort of came together. But I mean, what an amazing, obviously, end product. And your story is not dissimilar because they were experimenting with training shoe design and really sticking things on. And
they were technical guys. They were technical guys working on.
That was crucial to their success, right? That they had that technical input. It wasn't just something that they were good at marketing. It really was a product design. Yeah.
And I got it when they said, because it took them almost 12 years to get that first shoe. And what people don't realize is what real innovation, how long it takes. You know, it wasn't just saying, oh, we'll make a lighter shoe, because then it has to fit and it has to last and it has to have a bunch of unique characteristics that make it actually work. And we went through that. Like, I had prototypes in the early days. People were saying like, hey, just why don't you sell that? But I knew it wasn't ready yet. I knew there were several things it couldn't do yet. And I was not going to even consider making it a product until I thought the best athletes in the world have to put this on and say, wow. And, you know, and we got to that point, but it took literally a dozen years.
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing story. So I know, I only know this because I've got to know you and your company, but I know there's a vast amount of research and development behind, and a lot of technical experimentation and physics behind, and science behind the product. So, but without going into too much detail, how important has that been, and who has driven that? Is that from you or is that from a partner?
100% that was driven from me as a start. Again, I'm a sports scientist. I've been a sports scientist and a high performance coach my whole career. So as this product was in development and we moved commercially, while I was finalizing the design, you know, creating a garment basically, the other area I knew is this is never going to fly unless we back it by science. We had to literally wrap it in science. And as a sports scientist, I was there at Sports Council. We started doing all the internal research. You know, we'd sneak into the lab at night after hours, and we would do, and I had two other guys, Pat and Sean, very good friends of mine, who were both sports scientists there. and we were doing tests in the labs. We were already starting to validate it because we know the marketplace too. As a high performance coach, I don't look at stuff that doesn't have value and science behind it. And it's a noisy space, whether it's a nutritional supplements, whatever it is. So I knew immediately, once we got the product ready, the next thing we had to do was not go to market. We had to validate it with science. And so we had an accidental, but a fortuitous meeting with the head of research out at Auckland University Technology Sports Performance Research Institute of New Zealand. This was Dr. John Cronin. 2014 or 15, he was speaking at a conference here in Malaysia, and I was introducing Exogen, the prototype, to MSN at the time. He saw it and he said, "You guys want to have dinner tonight? I want to talk about this thing." He'd never seen anything like it. We sat at dinner, he looked at it, he took one of these loads, moved it around, he said, "Oh wow." He said, "Have you got a research partner?" And I said, "No." And I shook with him that night over a drink, and we said, "Let's do it." And we've been in a long-term relationship with AUT Sprins, arguably one of the best sports science institutes in the world, John Cronin being one of the industry leaders globally. We've got over, the science isn't part of what we do, it's the core of what we do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, and this is an important part for people to understand, a lot of products are what's called claim-based benefits. You know, they create a product and they claim it works because some other research or something like it was shown to work. But we're research-backed benefits. So everything we talk about, we've done the research on. We've got over 30 published research, PhD studies on this product already. We've got probably at least another 30 underway. We've got partnerships with Altus Running Group, the UFC Performance Institute, Paris Saint-Germain. We're just starting introductions with the NN running team, which of course is the famous distance running team. And that's a target for us. And if they are listening, we're coming for you guys. But yeah, the process is this. We created the product, we do the research. The research teaches us the education on the right way to use it to get the right result, and then we share that with the market. So research sits at the core of what, you know, LILA is, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean,
and you know, your space, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, from my perspective, I just trust the product. I know the research is there, and as a user, I'm not so interested in delving into that. I mean, I have an interest in it, but I leave that to the experts. I put it on, and I know it's working for me. That's right. That's nice. Yeah. So, what's your biggest sporting market, and what's your most exciting sport at the moment, in your opinion? Okay, exciting is cool because we got some really cool stuff happening. Now, having worked my life in sport, I love all sports. So, but our biggest sporting market right now is sort of all around running. And there's, again, two aspects to running. So there's endurance running, which is a fitness or activity or a sport. And then there's sprinting. And sprinting is otherwise called speed, which means you have track sprinting, but then you have team sport speed. So football, soccer, American football, basketball, tennis, lacrosse, rugby. All of these are components of it. But our big area is really, we looked at running and realized running is your core movement for most sports. Next down the line is, as you know, we're working with the UFC right now. We've got a lot going on in combat, from Muay Thai to boxing, the best guys in the world. And then the next one is golf, another big area. But our top of the pyramid right now is really around running and mechanics of running and movement for running. And then that relates again to endurance, sprinting, team sport type running. And that's it's just because it's such a big space, and it's really, again, core to movement. Me personally, the exciting area is what's going on in combat. As a boxer, myself, and formerly it was everything we did with rugby, but I pushed rugby aside for the last few years just to focus on boxing. So the stuff we're doing now with the UFC and getting excited on that, like the rotational stuff in combat, it's such a specific movement, and it's 360. And so me personally, I'm really excited about that. But the most exciting thing that's happened in the last while was, of course, we have, if you follow sport in the Olympics, you would know the story of the U.S. sprinter named Sha'Carri Richardson. You know, she's the super queen of sprinting in the world. She's Usain Bolt at the moment in sprinting. And we've been on a sort of secret program with her and Dennis Mitchell out of Florida, Justin Gatlin, Kenny Bednarek, all these guys are with Exogen.
But then, of course, she hit the scandal with the marijuana came out, and we were like, oh, no. Especially, it was so disappointing. I think she's just been done it wrong by all that, and it's a terrible disappointment, I'm sure, and I know for her and the team. But that was exciting because I was working weekly with the team there and coach on the introduction, the periodization, putting into their program, hearing their feedback, seeing them jump on the product. It was just really cool because it was in everybody's mind right now. The Olympics coming up, and these people are changing the game in speed. So yeah, that's kind of the most exciting thing that's been going on the last few months.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So one more question on the Olympics. Obviously, they start, I think, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, officially tomorrow. Must have been incredibly challenging for the whole event team behind that. But who are we looking out for? Where are you expecting to see something awesome in the Olympics?
100%. You got to watch that men's and women's sprint final, because we're looking for gold, silver, bronze in men's and women's sprints. We've got about 12 to 15 distributor partners in various parts of the world. We have various athletes from the USA. We're just compiling a list of all the athletes on Exogen, but we've got gymnastics, lots in athletics, swimming, shooting, badminton, combat karate, taekwondo. I would say we've got athletes in at least half the disciplines there. This is sort of our first Olympics that has a lot of Exogen in it. We've got athletes. Yeah. I'd say there's probably somewhere in the range of 25 to 50 athletes who have Exogen kit at the Olympics. So they've got their roll-up sets. It's part of their, including our Malaysian group, Farah An, of course, the very famous, well-known Malaysian gymnast who just brought Exogen in the last tweaking of her final performance. They sent me the pictures the other day from the gym. They packed up her Exogen. It's in her luggage, and so that's pretty exciting.
Wow.
LILA's in it's in the Olympic Village in whatever bubble format that is. But
do you think the Olympics will be a catalyst for your business?
Oh, eventually, for sure. It always is. Just because it's.
I mean, this specific Olympics.
Yeah, it will. I think again, success breeds success, and so having performance. And I think there's a bigger question there, Jeff, and that is this: Exogen is not a nice to have product. It's a need to have. And when I mean that, anybody who's trying to sell their product will say the same thing, but there's a clear difference. Exogen is a performance product. And what that means is to this day, we have almost pretty much 100% track record in improving people's performance. Whether that means we've set world records, we've helped teams win world championships, we've helped them qualify for world championships, qualify for Olympics, win league championships, set PBs, and that's because it changes your performance in your sport. So if you use Exogen and you're a badminton player, in 6, 8, 12 weeks time, you will be a better badminton player in that time, not simply more fit. And so if I take you to the gym and I get you in a good program and you're more fit, you may or may not lose your competition. But with Exogen, we see your technical skill, your specific in-competition performance is improved. So 100% your in-competition performance improves. So if you're a runner, I remember Nick Gill. Okay, Nick Gill was the very well-known. He's the head of high performance for New Zealand Rugby. But Nick, he's one of the best team sport guys in the world, right? But before he put Exogen into the New Zealand All Blacks for the World Cup, he tested it on himself. And guess what? Nick is a world-class triathlete. He's an Ironman athlete. And so we did a very secret, specific program only on his running. So this relates to your audience. Mm-hmm. Nick was looking at breaking his PB. He really wanted to qualify for Kona, and he was hoping to do well in his age class. So we did a 6-week program, started with the calves, went into the shorts, and a little bit of work in the top. And by the end of the 6th week, he said, all right, the race is next week. He said, I don't know if I'm going to achieve my goal, but I can tell you this. I'm simply way faster. My running is just so much improved. I'm going to have a better time, but let's see what happens. And so he came back, he went to the event, he won Australia Ironman, he won his weight class, he smashed his PB, and he qualified for Kona. And he just told me, he said, now let's talk about the All Blacks for 2018. And so, but this is the story everybody has with Exogen. if you take weight training, and weight training works, like we're not talking about magnets or a new keto diet that may have an effect. It's just weight training. And you put it in your sport and you train 2-3 times a week with it. And then 6 weeks later, you take that weight off and you go run or you compete. You're going to be faster. You know?
Yeah.
The secret is just we want to plan it right so you get to that point safely.
Yeah.
And so
a few points I want to mention there, and just supports exactly what you've said. So any runner I work with, I always tell them my first priority is to keep them injury free. We're only going to progress if we don't get injured.
Right.
Any training discipline is about pushing that boundary to the max without getting sick or injured, essentially. Right. So
because that stops everything.
Absolutely. And strength training, of course, has to be part of your training. But most runners, they don't know how to do it. They're lazy to do it. They don't want to do it. They're scared to do it. But most people just don't have time or don't make the time. And so I tell them, I'm going for a run. I'm sticking on my LILA gear, and I'm doing my gym workout while I run. There you go, off. and it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, 100% is the efficiency thing. So, and the other thing is what people have to realize. When I started with this, I was coming from the gym background. So I was actually creating it as a gym tool, like a weight vest. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Until I started giving it to coaches and athletes. And remember, I've been doing this for 17 years. And every single person we give this product to, they don't take it and put it into just a gym workout. They say, oh yeah, I put it on while I'm running. I'm playing, badminton. Chong Wei and those guys are doing their high-speed shuttle drills on court with their Exogen. So they're not adding more time. Yeah. And so much so, as I mentioned to you, like Paris Saint-Germain, arguably one of the biggest, for sure one of the biggest, one of the best team sports in the world. And they came to us specifically because in those congested schedules where they have 2-3 games a week for 10, 12 months, they don't have time for the gym. So they were actually building Exogen into their on-field training. So, they'll have the shorts loaded for 30 minutes at the start of training. They'll get their specific strengthening to keep all that area strong because they can't go to the gym. They can't do squats. They don't have time for that. And so they were actually bringing it in as an efficiency solution for specific strength. And 90% of our audience wears it in their sport. They're not sitting there on a mat doing, just general training like another tool.
Sure. Yeah. I think for me, that's your greatest USP as a product, I imagine. So it sounds to me like you're at a pretty exciting point in time with the company. I've known you maybe 3 or 4 years, and I can feel it now, and I obviously follow what you guys are doing. So where is it going to go in the next couple of years, and how are you going to dominate the world?
Well, we don't want to dominate the world. We just want to help the world. That's our motto. Like I said, I think that's important too, is we have a balance and a very clear view of who we are and what we are. We're LILA Movementechnology, and our focus is to provide movement technologies that help improve the way people move. And that's our mission statement, improve the way you move. That's it. There's no long-winded thought on it. But the question is, what does movement mean to you? So if you're a runner and you're just starting, and say you've done your first 10K and you did it in 1 hour and 6 minutes, you all know what they want to do next. They want to go under 1 hour. So movement to you is that goal, right? If you're a marathoner and you're trying to go sub 3 hours and maybe qualify for Boston, then your movement gets a little more elite. If you're a Sha'Carri or a Justin Gatlin or a Bednarek or these guys, they're trying to win Olympic gold, but it's all just movement. The other side of that too is we're now, as you know, we're starting to move not just in the sport area. That was our starting area, but we're moving into the fitness, health, and rehabilitation area. Some people, movement means I've just had surgery. I just want to get back to work. I just want to walk and do the activities, return to function. And we're finding like we're I wouldn't say inundated, but it's a massive amount of groundswell that's coming to us because Exogen, because of its unique ability to apply load and movement, is becoming such a critical tool in that return to work, return to play phase. So you get injured, you do your physio, the injury itself's healed, it's no longer torn, but the body's weak. And that's where people are like, my knee still feels unstable. Like I go for my hikes, but I get pain and then it swells. And Exogen is just, we're finding it's just, we're getting approached by people all over the world specifically in that area. So that's an area of growth for us coming for sure. And like you said, it's almost a more important area than just sports goals, because returning people to function, returning them to work, returning to play, that's lifestyle. You know, if you have a person who was injured, even at work, and they hurt their back, and you can get them past that injury and they can get back to their life, that's a game changer for them, right? And so it's an area I'm excited about personally, just because, you know, I like to see people continue on in an active life. And the other area we're working on, as you know, is our sensor line. So we've got the wearable tech now, we've got the resistance solution. We're building in our sensor tech that's giving you all the live feedback. And as you know, the app is launching later this quarter. And so this is an exciting area because now it's going, you know, pure Silicon Valley digital, and we're talking about 3D modeling of movement and AI coaching, and it's a really exciting area.
Cool, very cool. So if you look back at what you've achieved so far, and there's clearly a roadmap to the future, what are you most proud of at this moment in time with LILA?
Easy, mate, surviving. I'll tell you that, 100%. And you know, there's, and I kid you not, and anybody who's an entrepreneur listening says, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. Whether it's a restaurant or whether you're, you know, out there making gloves or you're doing a, you know, your passion project in art, surviving is the toughest thing. And like I always remember this quote from the guy from Under Armour, and he said, "Companies don't fail when they run out of money. Companies fail when the founders run out of steam." You know, you quit. You fail when you quit, and you know that from sport. Like, you think of those endurance events, you do. I mean, you don't. If your mindset is, "I'm going to finish," you will finish. You might pay the price for 3 months afterwards with all the damage you guys do to your bodies, but you will finish. Mm-hmm. And so just having the mindset to survive and always finding a way. And I joke around, I said, do you know how many times our company's run out of money? Do you know how many times we've lost staff? Do you know how many times we've run into, you know, and then COVID hits, and, you know, I'm proudest that we survived. We took care of our people. We built great partnerships. Everybody that's with us is still with us. You know, we've looked at an ethical road and sort of a caring management system, you know, things that make us feel good about the way we do business. And those are the things that resonate when I look back. The solution and the product are cool, but I think just getting here is made us proud, because I've seen a lot of companies, you know, fall off, and for whatever reason, we're still here. We're still kicking, Jeff.
That's important, isn't it?
Yeah. We had no choice. You know, when you've got no other choices, you just got to keep moving forward. You think of you in the desert, and you say, "I want to quit." What does quitting mean? You're going to sit there and die?
Not an option.
No, it's not, right?
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question?
Why not?
Have you, because again, I have done some pretty extreme things, but you know, your level of event and ultra distance, it's a mind game. Have you had to battle that? Were you somebody that was born with that character, and just on this topic, or is it something you think just develops through the hard training as well? Because it's a survival instinct, right? In a business or any activity that requires you just to be resilient.
Yeah, it's a good question. I have thought about it a bit, and I think your personality either suits you for that or not. I'm a pretty stubborn person. I don't give up on anything. I also don't take something on if I don't think I'll have a chance to achieve it. I think it's important to be realistic in your goals, yeah. But yeah, I will never quit. I mean, if I think of that, right there. Yeah, it's just not in my DNA, right? And I enjoy that fight. I don't mind. I think runners enjoy a little bit of pain, and learning to block that pain and deal with that pain is what we do in training. And yeah, you got to sort of look forward to that almost, which is a little bit sick, but it's part of the process.
That endurance game, I mean, it is, you know, every sport has its challenge, and endurance activities, the challenge is so often a mental one, because you're faced with that repetitive cycle. You know, somebody said, the secret to success is not talent, it's the ability to withstand sheer tedium, you know, and yeah. Endurance.
And it's not just endurance. I mean, I do my weekly speed sessions, and I know they're going to be very unpleasant, and I don't look forward to them. Yeah. They're only maybe 30 minutes long, but they're murder. And yeah, so in your daily training,
So I get into the ring with my coach, and when I have pad work and training work and even light sparring and that, and I just think, you know what? All I know that in about 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to be on the ground. Not because of your hit. I'm just going to be so tired, gassed, you know, but you just know you're going to go through it, right?
Yeah, and you know you're going to feel great afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing about having a good team or people around you too. They support you. Like from a company perspective, one thing I've learned, and anybody knows this, is you can fix any problem. You know, we got a technical problem with the product, can fix it. We need financing, we can find a solution. The problems you can't fix are the people problems. You've got to take care of those. You know, you have to manage those long term, because when things hit the fan, they're the ones that are going to solve issues. So that's always been the challenge. I know that from a life in high performance sport. And I think that really prepared me for working with the team environment in the business, because we're used to getting hit. You know, we're used to being down. We're used to not having resources. And the last thing you're thinking is quit. Like, you just don't think that way.
No, absolutely. Okay, Joe, I've got 3 questions for you that we ask everyone who does our podcast. These are
yes,
quick.
No, maybe.
These are quick fire answers. What's your favorite Malaysian food?
Nasi lemak.
Is it? Okay.
Every day, mate.
This one, I'm interested to hear what you say. What's the one sporting event in the world that you would love to take part in?
The Olympics.
I think you're too old, same as me.
Don't count me out, mate. I already got a plan to be in the Olympics. I'll tell you what it is.
Joe's the fittest 60-year-old in Malaysia, everyone.
I'm only 54. I did like that though. It made me look a little better.
And what do you love most about sport?
Everything. Literally just everything. There's not one thing. This is what I always say. My body has a purpose, and that's to move. And sport is an outlet for that. It gives me that purpose. If I didn't have that purpose, I don't know what I would do. You know, if all I could move was that finger, then I'd be moving that finger. You know, that's why we have a body. It was built to move. It's designed to move, and sport is that outlet. There's nothing I don't like about sport. You know,
yeah, I agree entirely with that. And in fact, we had that conversation just the other day. How exercise just helps you relax and helps you de-stress. That we don't understand how people could not do that. But okay, a message for new Malaysians that are taking up their fitness journey. So I think one of the positive spin-offs from COVID is that there's a lot of people now seeing value in focusing on their health and taking up either running or walking or biking or whatever it may be. Personally, I think that's awesome, and I know a lot of them will be future customers, which is also awesome. So what's your message to Malaysia at this moment in time for looking after health?
very, very simple. And this is a lesson from high performance sport. We talk about this all the time. Have a strong minimum. And the concept of having a strong minimum is very, very simple. First, don't listen to fitness trainers. They're all obsessed people that love fitness, and they can't understand why you don't. And what I mean, I'm knocking the fitness industry because I've trained that industry for years. But when you're talking to somebody who's converted and you're not converted, when you're part of the majority, not the minority, it's a very difficult conversation. And so when a trainer or you read up, okay, I got to do 3 times a week, or I got to do 5 times a week, or I have to do 30 minutes of exercise because it doesn't count. That industry has failed to really tell you what health is. And in sport, we talk about just have a good, strong minimum, which means have a realistic goal. And people fail because they bite off more than they can chew, financially, in a love relationship, in jobs, whatever it is. Do not go into any new program with a goal that you can't manage. Set the minimum. If you're starting something new and you don't exercise now on a regular schedule, literally for 1 to 2 months, say my goal, whatever my trainer says, I want to do 1 session a week. No matter what happens, on a Wednesday for 20 minutes, I'm going to exercise. And you stick that out. And no matter what, so you turn around and think, I'm going to do that. So if next week I can do 3 sessions, I'll do 3. My trainer wants me to do more. But now you get busy at work and something goes on and you call your trainer and say, oh, I can't train, I can't do this. You say, no, wait. I will do my bare minimum. I keep a strong minimum, and it keeps you in the fight and it keeps you connected. And have a very simple minimum that's 1 to 2 times a week. And I'm not talking about the people that are in it and they're training and they're working on goals. Those people, it's a different conversation. This is the people who aren't doing it, that we want to get you active. Find something you like doing. Do it once a week to start for your first 1 to 2 months. If you can do that, trust me, you're succeeding. And I'm a guy who's trained the very best people on the planet. And because you don't want to set it up and say, oh yeah, I've got a program, I'm going to do 3 times a week. Then the first week you don't do 3 times, you're going to start thinking, oh, you know, I didn't get that. And then it starts swindling down. Set a minimum that no matter under what, any circumstances with your current life, work, energy, physical state that you can achieve. And it might even be 5 minutes twice a week.
Yeah.
But if it's more than 0, you're on the right path, and stick to that religiously. Even if you say, I'm going on holiday and I'm going to eat and drink and sit at the pool for a week, great. But on that Wednesday at 5 o'clock, you do that bare minimum. And if you can do that, you like I said, it's because the most important thing in life, as you know, is consistency.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What can I stay consistent at? Be realistic. And that way you're always working off success. You actually feel proud. You're like, I got my 1 session in this week. I'm okay. Joe said that's a good start. Next week, I'm going to try 2.
Yeah.
You know,
Love it.
Be real, set a very simple goal and stick to it.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that, 100%. In fact, I was just writing some beginners programs recently, and I was looking at it, and you know, when you look with a fresh set of eyes, and I just looked at it and said, this is just too complicated. People are not going to succeed with this. So I stripped it right down. I got it as simple as possible, and the message of that is just do it, get it done, be consistent, patience, patience, patience. Then the results come, and that doesn't matter what level you're at, really. I think.
You know what? The guys that really talking to you about this is good, simple financial planning. People say the first thing in saving money is every month, what's the minimum you can save? No matter what happens in your life, if you get extra payments, can you take $100 no matter what and just put it aside?
Could you even work with my wife, Joe?
But it's that mentality. It's having that bare minimum, and that is simply it establishes the most important thing in life: discipline. And if you can just be disciplined in one simple thing, it builds on itself. Don't get excited about the big plan. That'll come. If you can do that first step, then someone will help you with step 2, right?
Brilliant. Joe, I have really enjoyed hearing your story. I think there's a bit of feedback on my side, but you were doing most of the talking. We know you like to talk, so hopefully the listeners are able to hear that okay. If anyone wants to try LILA Exogen, you can come and let me know, and I will help to arrange that. I would really encourage you to give it a go. It's helped my training tremendously. It's a product I'm proud to endorse. Joe's a brilliant guy. Their company are awesome here in Malaysia, and they're clearly on a path to success. I think that message is coming through loud and clear. So thank you so much, Joe. We're going to share this out. I'll send you it once it's edited and ready to go, and I'm sure people are going to enjoy hearing that story. Thanks very much for your time, Joe.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon, man, and it was a pleasure as always.
Great. Cheers for now.
All right, cheers. Boom.